I look at this week's Torah portion, VaYishlach. I know it well because I am an Israelite. I am a Jew. And our very name, Yisrael, came from the transformational experience that Jacob has this week. He is afraid for his life, and so he sends his family to be far away from him on one side of the Yabbok River, and he is on the other side, and he wrestles all night with a man. Now, we don't know who the man is. Some have suggested that the man is himself. He is having an inner war. The deceit that he perpetrated on his father, the deceit that he perpetrated on his brother, so much of what he inherited, the dysfunction of his own family's life, perhaps he needs to wrestle with in order to emerge as a new whole person. Perhaps, as Midrash suggests, he's wrestling with an angel. All the Torah says is Ish. He wrestles with a man. Now, he is injured in this wrestling. He's injured in his leg, and that's one of the reasons that Jews don't eat the portion of an animal that has the sciatic nerve, the Gid Hanasheh. He emerges as Yisrael, as a wrestler. He emerges with a mark of the wrestling match. And this week, how is it possible for an American Jew to read this Torah portion and not think of Eric Garner, who didn't emerge, who was in a wrestling match that cost him his life, a wrestling match that has now been found not guilty, not even indictable, not even brought to court, even though the death was ruled a homicide, and choke locks, throat locks, the gesture, the physical gesture of choking is documented on film, on video. The police officer wasn't indicted. The second time in 2 weeks in America that a grand jury has found a police officer not even worthy of being brought to trial for the death of a black man. And as has been shared by so many, the facts of the case when it came to Mike Brown's death were perhaps murky, perhaps not, but there were questions in people's minds. In the question of Eric Garner's death, there are no questions about the facts, and justice has not been done. It has demonstrated not only to the African American community here in America, but to everyone in America, that black lives matter less in the American judicial system. That is not just unacceptable, that is an affront against God. Every human being is created in the image of God, and we Jews tell the story of our own emerging from our wrestling. We limp because of the wound that we incurred wrestling with this angel or with ourselves. We emerge to tell the story. Eric Garner did not emerge to tell his story. His family doesn't have him anymore. And he and Mike Brown are not the only African American people who have been killed by the American legislative system. If you want to see justice, you need to look deeper than what the law decided in both of those cases, because the law itself needs to wrestle with itself, and it will not do that by itself. It is going to take enormous courage, enormous bravery, and we are going to have to figure out how to challenge our rage, and I, as a white American, am going to have to do a lot of listening instead of presuming to know the answers. I look at the cases in front of me, and I don't believe my eyes. My eyes are full of tears, and what do I know? Because I walk down the street, and if I were to be stopped by a police officer, I wouldn't presume that he was going to hurt me. But that's probably because I'm white. We have a lot of wrestling to do with our own inner demons so that we can emerge as angels, maybe to transform our name, because it is clear that our system is not one that actually serves justice. It serves judgment based on our color. And so I offer this thought on the Torah in memory of Eric Garner and Mike Brown, and in honor of so many heroes that are doing their damnedest to channel their rage in constructive ways. This rage must become contagious, it must become loud, and everyone with the power to do so must amplify it, so that the powers that be, if they disagree with this notion, are no longer the powers that be. We are a democracy, and the voices of the people must be heard. The voices of all people must be heard, because too many of them have been silenced to death.